Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to be joined again by my friend and business partner, Mr. Michael Vincent, Mr. Podcaster Extraordinaire is what I call him.
That's me. That is
And
me.
that's him. I'm sure you've seen his coverage over the years. We work together on fuel reduction, emissions reduction, plastics waste reduction, all with monetary gains for companies. So it's fun work.
Got to turn off my phone. I'm sorry. It is great. It is. I love what we're doing, and we were just talking and kind of commiserating about how much work we're actually doing. But it is. You know what? I've never worked as many hours, and as hard as I have in the last year. Continue to do so, and gleefully talking about things that I'm going to have to do all weekend.
Right.
And really excited about getting to it because I know the impact that we're making, right? And I know the mission, and I know that you, as my partner, I know that you share that same mission, is to touch as many lives as possible, and to do it through a business sense, and really bringing that ethos to business is the goal, right?
Absolutely. Help people in need, help clean the environment, and help people make more money at the same time. It's a win-win-win kind of a scenario.
I'll give you a quote. Alfred North Whitehead, author of Adventures in Ideas and many other really interesting things. If you like business and you like philosophy, that type of stuff, read his stuff. He was, I believe he was a professor at Columbia University a long time ago. But he said that a society is only as great as the importance its men and women of business place on their contributions towards that society.
Oh, yeah, that's very well said.
I
Very
didn't
well
say it.
said.
I just repeated it. I'm just a parent.
Hey, you're smart enough to find it.
Yeah, but yeah, curious enough to find it. I
Curious enough, exactly. I know
Yeah.
you and I are both very curious. We have probably more newsletter and magazine subscriptions than anybody else that I know, frankly.
Oh, I know, it's insane. It's stuff that I'm reading all the time and on three different screens while I'm doing other stuff. I've got a trivia question kind of for you, if or a test or whatever for you and the crowd. If you want to do that first, or we can do it later. Right?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm interested.
Okay. All right. So I like to have obscure things that people look at and wear T-shirts where they go, "Oh yeah, I know what that is." So it's just like I have the attempted murder with two crows on it, right? And people go, "What the? Oh yeah, a flock of crows is actually a murder, right? So two crows sitting on a branch is an attempted murder, right? So here's one of my favorites of all times. My wife just got me this one because she knows what I like. So I asked her for a T-shirt of this person and or band, and this is what she got me because she knows me, right? And I don't want just the name on a shirt. Now I'm 57, and this was one of my favorites since the 70s. So, it could be fairly old, but it's a pretty iconic picture, even though you can't see this person's face. So, the band or this actual musician would suffice as the correct answers. So,
Okay.
Comment, put it in a comment, see who gets this right. But there's somebody out there who goes, oh, I know what that is. That's easy. There's a lot of people, but those who weren't huge fans will go, I don't know. And
Very cool.
Those who are younger than 30 or years old or so, I have no clue.
Yep. I love it. I heard, I don't want to guess. I'll let the audience guess. But
well, you can tell me after the show, and then I'll verify whether you were right or not on the next show or whatever.
All right. So, we're talking about trivia and so forth. I read one time that The Who set the world record for the loudest concert of all time.
Yeah, it's like 122 decibels or something crazy like that. Yeah, was it in Leeds, London, or something?
I think so. Yes, and it's enough to do ear damage, right? So,
listen, Van Halen was enough to do ear damage to me.
Oh man, and I watched Back to the Future during the holiday break. What a great movie! I just had to watch it, and that scene where he's in front of the speaker that's about 7 feet tall.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right in the beginning. It blows
Yes,
him right
the
across
very
the head.
beginning of the movie. Blows it up, of course, blows himself across the room. Oh man, that's a fun movie.
It is a
Uh,
good one. I like that because he's up on stage and he's playing and he just gets he's like, oh, you guys aren't ready for that type of stuff yet.
yeah, exactly. You're not ready for that, but your kids are going to love it.
And isn't it Chuck Berry's cousin that's on stage or something? Because he
Yes,
calls and
it's
goes, "Hey
Chuck
Chuck,
Berry's
listen to
cousin.
this. I got a new sound for you."
Oh my goodness. You and I both love music, right? We
Oh yeah,
play
absolutely.
around with music, do stuff. In fact, you and I have done collaborations before, and
That's true.
it's really, honestly, it's how we met. So
It
way
is.
back when, about 3 years ago or so, that's how we met. Is kind of through
Somebody
music.
said somebody described our first collaboration as it sounded like the Ramones met Schroeder or something like that from the Peanuts, something like that.
Yep, it was me on keys. You are doing punk rock,
Yeah,
right? Punk
yeah,
rock, and me trying to do a key background for it. And
yeah.
yeah.
It was.
Oh, so
We
fun.
sold zero copies of that one.
Yeah, we sold 0.5 copies of that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh my goodness. But it was a
Wonderful.
lot of fun. And we've just continued on for the last several years collaborating in various different ways. And it's been a lot of fun. But
Yeah,
today's, big topic. So I happen to be on Christmas, I get this thing that pops up on my phone. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh, okay. And you and I subscribe to different newsletters and magazines and so forth. This one is from Commercial Carrier Journal, and it says Cummins to pay 1.675 billion penalty for alleged Clean Air Act violations. That's the
yeah,
headline.
yeah,
That's a catching headline.
yeah. An environmental act. Yeah, yeah. Fine. Agreed in principle to pay it. Right.
Agreed in principle to pay it.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Which I guess that means they were informed that this was fine was going to come down and they just forget the court case. Here's the evidence. Take a look at it, and they said, "Yeah, we're just going to have to pay this." Right? Is that kind of how that works?
I believe so. I don't know if there was a trial involved, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because when you
Um,
agree in principle, you're not convicted of anything,
that's
right?
true. You didn't plead guilty. Yeah,
Right.
right,
And a trial has not done. It hasn't happened, right? I
right,
mean,
right. So here's a quote from the
I
article.
assume I'm not a lawyer, and nor do I play one on TV like Larry Bud Melman used to, if anybody remembers who that is.
Nor am
But
I, and there's so many ins and outs to legal things as you understand.
exactly, that's
So
yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah.
try and pretend I'm a lawyer.
All I know is that they said, yeah, we're going to pay it.
According to the article, I'm going to read
Yeah,
from that. It
right.
says, according to the Department of Justice, Cummins has agreed to pay a 1.675 billion penalty to settle claims that it violated the Clean Air Act by installing emissions defeat devices on hundreds of thousands of engines. So that's what the case is about, basically.
Yeah,
Installing
right. Go ahead.
and Cummins said in response, it has cooperated fully with the relevant regulators, already addressed many of the issues involved, and looks forward to obtaining certainty as it concludes this lengthy matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, lengthy is a key word. I mean, it occurred from 2013 to 2023, over 10 years.
right. Yeah. So the Department of
Some
Justice said,
960,000 engines or something.
yeah, it was Department of Justice said Cummins allegedly installed defeat devices on 630,000 model year 2013 to 2019 Ram 2500s and 3500 pickup truck engines. The company
Yeah,
also allegedly installed undisclosed auxiliary emission control devices on 330,000 model year 2019 to 2023 Ram 2500 and 3500 engines. So, just shy of about a million or so engines, I guess.
so does I mean I just and I'm curious. I'm not pointing fingers or stating any type of fact, but is Dodge Ram involved in it? I didn't read anything where that is there. Are they like ignorant of what happened, I suppose? At this point,
Everything
we have
in
to
here
assume,
just
right?
says is all about Cummins.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I found curious was that I see no mention of Dodge Ram other than those were the models. And it's specific. I mean, it wasn't like engines that went into anything else. It was just those.
Yeah.
So it just seems curious to me as to uh, who else may have, I mean, just I'll leave it there because, otherwise we're speculating and leading people down paths, but it's just curious that it was to one automaker
And I don't know if
and
you saw in the news some years ago, Volkswagen. I think they are.
oh yeah, dude. I mean, I remember that. Yeah, absolutely.
They're the
That
number
was their
one.
mileage. Weren't they lying about their mileage or something like that?
It was emissions related.
Okay, yeah.
They had the clean diesel engine. I don't know exactly what they called it, but the
Yeah.
measurements of the air were not accurate. And
Right.
people had gone out and bought these thinking they were a burning cleaner, basically. And I believe, from what I remember of the news, they are the number one largest manufacturer of vehicles in the world at the time, anyway. And so, yeah, they had basically sold these. I think they're called TDI diesel, something like that.
I was just gonna say they were the TDIs, which are badass cars. If you ever driven one, they were amazing. They still are. In fact, my neighbor 2 doors down bought a used one for $5,000, and it's still a killer car. They're
Right.
fast. They're very nice cars, actually. I like
Right,
them.
absolutely. And a lot of people were able to buy those from the people that did not want them and buy them for a steal, honestly,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
get a really good price on them. And it made me wonder about the Clean Air Act. When in the world did it start? So I went and poked around a little bit. I was a little bit surprised to hear the
Wait,
Clean
you
Air
have the internet
Act.
there in Oklahoma?
What's that?
You have the internet there in Oklahoma?
We do.
Wow, that's
Yep.
awesome.
Well,
I had
here's
no
the way
idea.
it works. We've got 55 million prairie dogs running around in a circle, and it churns an engine
Is that what
that
it is?
then causes an electric signal to a satellite, and then we get internet.
So are those prairie dogs, are those considered clean energy and are they renewable?
Clean, absolutely. As long as you feed them, they are renewable.
Okay. All right. So you better be careful with that because didn't like Taiwan or somebody get in trouble because they were using monkeys to pick coconuts or something like that? I think
I did not see that news.
I maybe I dreamt that. I don't know. Don't.
Oh my goodness. But the Clean Air Act started in 1963. That
Okay.
goes back a lot further than I thought. I didn't know really.
No, it really is because I remember acid rain being an issue as a kid, and I would have guessed mid to late 70s was when the Clean Air Act would have hit.
Right.
That's what I would have guessed.
Yeah. Yep. What goes back to 1973. It says on the EPA website, the Clean Air Act of 1963 was the first federal legislation regarding air pollution control. It established a federal program within the U.S. Public Health Service and authorized research into techniques for monitoring and controlling air pollution. So
Okay.
that's the origin. Wow. That's the origin of it. Okay. It goes way back further than I thought it did, honestly. But that's the origin of it. And, it's unfortunate. And there was, like you said, Cummins didn't say they did any wrongdoing. They just said we have agreed in principle to do this. So there was no guilty plea or anything like that.
Because you don't know what happened, right? You don't know. I find it hard to believe that somebody was going, we're going to do this. Rather than it being some type of devices that were put in that helped with something else that accidentally caused this without due diligence to research whether it was defeating it or not.
Right.
I don't because I just don't want to believe that somebody was sinisterly going, we're going to pollute the heck out of everything. I don't believe for a second that Cummins, that's their mission.
No, you're right. I'm sure it was just something that happened. It got deployed, and then it was like, oh goodness, look at what it's doing, and then one thing leads to another, right? But it was a big news item that happened to hit my phone on December 25th, and Um, Obviously, that was a very catching headline. The cool thing I love doing, Michael, is we're helping companies reduce their fuel consumption, reduce emissions, reduce
Yeah.
plastics waste. And
Yeah.
it's not like they're going to spend more money to do it.
Right. Right.
They're actually going to save money in doing it in the
Correct.
same time. So it's fun work. And, my wife gives me a hard time sometimes because it's like my hobby. I'll get into doing something for 4 or 5 hours at night sometimes. And she's like, okay, enough's enough. Like, okay. But it's like,
Yeah, no, we were just talking about it. I've got things that I do. Like I was watching the Browns and the Jets play last night while I was working. I mean, because I believe in our mission. I believe I believe what we're doing.
it doesn't
And
feel like work.
no, it really doesn't.
You know,
No, it
it
really
doesn't.
doesn't.
That's the weird thing. It doesn't feel like work. And we love it for companies that are taking advantage and doing awesome things to help the environment while saving money and help with not doing so much virgin plastic materials and again it's savings, money savings as well. So
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, on the emission side, being able to actually save money, net money after the cost of the solution, you're still saving that amount of money, right? What is it, average 20% or something like that?
yeah,
Is that
we're anywhere from 10 to 23% net savings, cost savings
right?
after the cost of the solution, the equipment and solution, or just the solution itself.
Yeah,
So yeah, 10 to 23% net
which
cost
is, I mean,
savings on
which is
fuel.
just amazing. And on the plastic side, it's infrastructure solutions, it's supply chain logistics solutions that condense and change the value chain of those plastics so that it becomes a motivator to actually recycle and a profit center, but also reduces the costs so that industry can economically use more recycled plastics as a percent, relation to virgin, and create the circularity in the economy that needs to be done. Because a lot of them, they want to do it, but if it's twice the cost and you're not willing to pay twice the cost, then it's not going to happen, because no matter what you do, it's not somebody evil sitting there going, oh, let's follow the dollar. It's just the way our society is built. The dollar rules. Just
Right.
does.
Right. Yep. I've talked to a lot of fleet executives of different kinds of fleets, at trucks, fracking, drilling. And unfortunately for them, whenever somebody says, I've got this idea for you and it's emissions control, they cringe because a lot of the things that came out were just more expensive engines, more
Yeah.
filters, more fluids, all the things, right? And so they're like, ooh, what do you have? Oh, goodness. But when they learn that there's actually net savings on fuel spend at the same time, or in your case, with plastics, less cost to produce. And you're getting, it's a profit center. Like you said,
Yeah,
it's a profit center. So that
absolutely.
makes a whole different ballgame.
It absolutely does. But yeah, I mean, and as frustrating as it is sometimes, trying to get people to listen, those that do get it, right? And we're making a lot of headway. But you also understand from the other side, right? Because there's a lot of hype with a lot of BS, and there's a lot of products, and there was a lot of promises that were made. And people saw the ability to cash in on a fad, what they thought was a fad, or the latest trend, right? And so you have those semi-nefarious and nefarious players that kind of ruin it for those of us who are actually trying to get something done.
No, there's a lot of
Unfortunately,
bad stories,
but you get it.
honestly.
Yep.
So as you know, we do a money back guarantee on our fuel reduction with cost savings. And it's almost like we have to do it because people have tried different things and it's okay. We love for
Yeah.
people to do measured pilots with it. And then, with the plastics, just do some math. Would you rather spend this or spend that amount of money? And
Yeah.
it just makes financial sense to do it.
Yeah. It absolutely does. And it really becomes your responsibility as a business owner, as a business person, and as a, member of our society to do something like that. Right. I mean, at least check it out. Because it does work, and it saves money, and it reduces emissions, and it reduces the amount of fuel that you're going to use. Um, those are three pretty good things, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, it's better than the forward pass.
That's right. That's right. No, and
Just saying.
I was telling you, we're growing very quickly and having a hard time keeping up in certain ways and hiring people and so forth. But it's fun, fun problems to have. And on this whole Clean Air Act thing, it's not going anywhere. And
No.
you and I have talked about in RFPs and all these things where you're trying to get business, it's becoming more and more prevalent every week, every month, every year. And so,
there's so many indicators, Andy, and I'm sure we'll talk about these other stories. I'm not going to get into the specifics of them, but there are so many companies, and it seems like you hear of one every other day that was committed to changing everything over to EVs are backing off, and they're at least backing off to hybrids at the time.
right.
At this time, right?
Yep.
Because of various different issues.
Yep.
And so I'm sure we'll get into those topics as we go, but there's a lot to it, man. One of the biggest problems is there's no secondary market.
Yep, absolutely.
It's hard to have a primary market on a vehicle that doesn't have a secondary market.
Yep.
The financials don't work.
That's right. Yep. And there'll be more to come on that front. And as always, it's fun podcasting with you. I'm really curious about your trivia question. I'm looking forward to seeing.
There is one more time, people. Get it in.
Put in your answer. Figure out what is that. And as always, it's fun podcasting with you. Thanks again for coming on, Michael.
Right on, brother. Peace.
Peace and love, everybody, as Michael would say. And we will see you again on the next one. Take care.